Today is the 28th of May. Let me repeat that. Today is the 28th of May. Let me repeat that for the third time. Today is the 28th of May. Why am I repeating it? Because to whom it concerns, they will understand why I'm doing the repetition, so that they're reminded, or it suddenly hits them that, oh, today is the 28th of May, and I know my guest would understand equally. 28th of May is usually in a cluster of days when women are experiencing menstruation. Yeah, and so over a cycle of 28 days, women towards the end of the month into the beginning of another month, most women by and large will be going through a menstrual cycle. And so today, as you're going into your workspace, as you're going through the communities and engaging with different women, please note, if they're very moody, don't worry. It's simply because they're having hormonal transfers here, and their eggs are moving all over the place. And so that is what the menstrual cycle is all about. And so on the 28th of May, we get to have this conversation. Why? Because it's crucial for the social and economic development of this nation. Now, you could be thinking, well, my guest this morning is going to help us understand how it concerns you and me, male and female. In our Tech Note, we're looking at breaking barriers and silence on the menstrual hygiene, as well as reducing the barriers for women at workplaces. I am Priscilla Regina Nandoga, delighted to be a part of this conversation. Of course, every year the world is celebrating the Menstrual Hygiene Day on this very same day, 28th of May. It is an annual awareness day to raise awareness about the importance of menstrual hygiene, to break the silence as well as the stigma surrounding menstruation, and to engage decision makers in increasing the political priority and catalyzing action for menstrual health at global as well as national levels. Now, also, on the other hand, this very day is intentionally put aside to commemorate menstrual hygiene, because most women on average get their periods in 5 days, represented by the 5th month of the year, which is May. But also, these cycles tend to last about 28 days on average. So to walk us through this journey this month and this commemoration, I'm joined by Esther Nachitende. She is the legal officer with Women's Pro Bono Initiative, and she's here to help us and you understand this conversation better and how we can collectively play a role together to ensure menstrual hygiene. Isn't it, Esther?
It is so, Regina.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. Let me first go personal on this, if you're free.
Certainly.
When your cycle comes through, what do you experience? What does your body experience? Because from a personal experience, when I started on this journey as a teenager, I would actually faint. I would end up in the hospital with drips because of the excruciating pain I would have to go through. And now imagine, luckily I was in a single girls school. I can't imagine what that experience would have been if I was in a mixed school. What was your experience?
I should say mine is a bit relaxed. I do not have any hard cramps or some bitter pain. It is always a smooth journey all through the 5 days of my periods.
All right.
But I am very certain that there are so many other women who do not have that privilege. They do have a lot of pain during their periods, and it's the reason why we need to have this conversation. Okay.
Women's Pro Bono Initiative, what do you do?
Women's Pro Bono Initiative is a feminist organization that aims at making sure that justice does reach the women and girls, because we understand that so many women are disadvantaged, and it's for this reason that Women Pro Bono Initiative makes an effort to ensure that all women get justice in all aspects of life. It could be social, it could be economical, it could be political, and it is pro bono, meaning that you are likely to get the services at a free cost.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Certainly it
Okay,
is.
so in regards to menstruation, it has definitely significant impacts on social and economic development for women and girls. Let's talk about those impacts first.
Yeah, first I would like to note that this is a very important day for women. as women, we go through a lot of things. And oftentimes, people do not tend to pay attention to us because they think we are just being cheeky, as they always say. But menstruation is one of the important things that every woman ought or should go through in their entire definition of a life. So let me start by maybe explaining what is menstruation to some other people or boys that could be sitting at the TV station, but they actually do not know what is menstruation. And the reason why I ought to first explain it is to break the silence. Many women do not want, or it's often with girls, they do not want to talk about the menstruation. I remember I had my first menstruation for 1 year. But my mother did not know because I was scared to tell her that, you know what, Mommy, I am having my menstruation.
My own mother, when it came, she sent me the house help. And I had no idea what was happening. I just went to the bathroom and there was blood oozing out of me. I screamed, I cried. And they sent me the house help. So yes, it makes sense, the silence.
Yeah, so we need to break the silence. So menstruation is a cycle that a woman goes through. They have blood flowing out of their body. And that blood, usually it lasts for 5 days. And just as you've explained, it is why we chose the 50th month of the year. And the cycle is usually 28 days. I understand that for some women, it may extend to as far as 32 days or less, like 21 days. But for the average one, it is always 28 days, lasting for 5 days. So that is menstruation. So why is menstruation important to us as women? First, menstruation has it's a natural process. So any young girl out there, 12 years, 13 years, you should not be worried that you're an alien or something out of the usual. Menstruation is something that is definitely normal to have for every girl child. So it is very important for the socio-economic reason because it does affect how we feel, how we perform at work as women. I'll give you an example. Statistically does have it that 62 girls every week are likely to drop out of school because of menstruation. So this is something that is really so important. So it affects the girl child in a way that every time they see their periods and they do not have the best knowledge on how best to handle it, they're likely to drop out of school. For working women, women are sometimes known to be a bit moody at work. So we need an environment that understands that these 5 days of the month, we have to understand that Regina will not be this high as usual. She'll be a bit calm, she'll be a bit moody. So that's how it affects our socio-economic life. And when it comes to working, you will not perform as much as you ought to if you are in your other safe days or happy days where you do not have your menstrual cycle.
Yeah. Okay. And then also, when you look at the opportunities that present themselves when we break the silence, what opportunities are there when we break the silence on menstruation?
Well, thank you very much, Regina. That's a very important question. There's so many opportunities when we break the silence. First, the world will understand that when I appear at work, when I am moody, it does not mean I do not want to work. It means I am going through something and perhaps you should provide an appropriate environment. That is for the ladies that are working women. But when it comes to girls, when we break the silence, the schools will understand that we need to provide pads at school. I was having a conversation. The way
they readily provide condoms, you know, free of charge by the government. They should do the same for pads.
Definitely, definitely. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. She was, this is so ridiculous. How come condoms are everywhere? You go to the hospital, you will get one. Go to the schools, you are likely to get one. But a pad that costs only 2,500 cannot be accessed. The government and
members of parliament are busy incurring tax on it.
Certainly. That is the unfortunate bit of the story. But when we break the silence, we think or we desire that all these things will be addressed, that it will be okay for me to walk to school and I am stained and no one will laugh at me. They will simply understand Esther's going through her piece. Because most of the girls be at school and they get stained. But what happens? The boys will laugh at them. And guess what? The girl wouldn't wish to return to school the next day.
Yeah.
So when we break the silence, it will be normal for women and girls to embrace menstruation with confidence.
Okay, but Esther, many a times as we are breaking the silence, we're tilting it towards the primary, affected person, which is the woman, and we're never bringing along our brothers and our friends and our work colleagues, because someone has just whispered to me, Naruoga, next time you're going through this thing and you're moody, please just let me know that it's that time of the month. So meaning that we leave them behind in having this conversation and creating a safe environment for women to go through such seasons.
Yeah, that's a very important direction, Priscilla, because we also need to encourage men to appreciate menstruation for women, because we have fathers raising daughters. We have families where the head is a boy and the rest are girls. So how do we approach this? That's why we are calling for an awareness that is not gender sensitive, but rather gender neutral, that involve everyone, involve the fathers, involve the mothers, involve the brothers, involve the male politicians, involve everyone, so that we can create a safe environment for menstrual hygiene. Because we cannot win the battle by ourselves as women. We actually need the men more, because they are the ones that laugh at us most.
But also, they're the ones who benefit from us going through this menstrual cycle, because it means that we are capable of extending their legacies and lineages.
Yes.
Yeah. So, which information seems to be hidden away from? Why do we hide away from the whole, importance of menstruation?
It is the stigma that comes along when I say I am in my peace. It is associated with that.
Right.
Because you understand that in some religions and culture, they do not allow to keep company of women who are having the menstruation. So it is the stigma that comes along with saying, wow, I'm having my periods. Sometimes you tell a guy, I'm in my period, say, like, keep away, you are dirty. But that is not the reasoning behind. Actually, women in their periods tend to be more clean. They make an effort to take more showers. If you often take 2 showers a day, this time you say, I'll need to take 3. But men do not understand that.
Okay.
Yes.
Bring it back to the work environment. What policies can be revised or even developed in the first place to accommodate the needs of menstruating employees, and how can we advocate for implementation on a broader scale?
First, one thing that we need to consider at workplaces is providing free pads. Because you may think people at work do have the money and they can actually afford to buy the pad.
Yeah, but sometimes you never know when it comes.
Certainly.
And it comes when you're very active.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. So if we come to a place and we come up with a policy that every workplace to cater for women, please find it wise and important to have sanitary pads at your workplaces. And second, consider that time that woman is having that heavy flow. How are you going to treat them? I know this will also interfere with one's privacy, because now we will have to expose that, in these particular days and these ones, I will be having my menstruation. But it is for our own good. I think that is better than showing up at work and you're given a lot of work, yet you're unable to do it because you're having cramps. So we need to have a conversation with our bosses on how they should treat us during our menstruation. Yes, okay. I think those are some of the things that we can undertake to.
All right. On that regard, I'd like to commend our newsroom here at NTV. At least our leaders have been very vocal at ensuring and creating an enabling and safe environment for menstruating employees. And so we also plead to the Human Resource Department to consider giving us free pads. Thank you very much. But in that regard also, there's other marginalized communities. You've talked about religion, and so because of religious practices, some people are marginalized because of cultural practices.
Yes.
Some people are marginalized because of the background, poverty, or coming from low-income backgrounds. They are marginalized. So how do you enable them or encourage them or advocate for them to get the same treatment?
When it comes to marginalized groups, we tend to look at them as people, could be people with disabilities. It could be girls that could not afford sanitary towels. So what we usually do at Women Pro Bono Initiative is that we make an effort to reach out to them, teach them how to make the reusable pads. We recently had an engagement in Karamoja with the girls that were using sand, so dangerous. Toilet paper, so dangerous. So the best we can do for them is to reach out to them. Tell them now, if you cannot access this non-reusable sanitary towel, at least let's teach you how to make one that you can wash, sanitize very well, dry very well, and you use it for the next time. And other things that we are doing to advocate for such persons is that we are teaching them, giving them the required awareness, breaking the stigma, and ending period poverty. We engage them in activities and trainings on how best to embrace menstruation with confidence, because it is the goal. Once you're confident about your menstruation, you will be happy to take the showers 3 times, because you will not get worried that someone is going to, oh, Regina, why are you taking 3 showers today? You happily say, I'm in my peace. So we are teaching them to embrace their periods with confidence.
Speaking of embracing, how then do we encourage institutions or organizations and their leaderships to take on this very same mandate and advocacy for a safe environment, menstrual well-being, and recognizing the essential aspect of gender equality and welfare of society by and large, especially for religious and cultural organizations or leaderships?
Or other organizations, one, we can start by telling them they need to recognize that women do have periods. It is not something we can run away.
It's a God-given.
Certainly, it is something natural. In fact, if you cannot have your peace, you're quite sure you'll never carry a child.
Problem. Yes.
And that is so saddening. So every time you see your peace, please be happy. Me, when I see my periods, I'm like, wow, one day I will carry a baby in my belly. And that excites me. So for organization, the first thing is to embrace the fact that women do have their periods. Next step, create awareness. If it is a requirement to put charts or tags encouraging women that it's okay to have your periods at work, it is okay to change in your pads while at work, it is okay to do all this menstrual hygiene routine while at work. The other thing is to have conversation with the heads of the certain organization. You can choose as an organization to have not particularly the 28th of May, but any other day, and say this day we are celebrating our workers as women because of menstruation. Yeah, you put a round table, have a conversation about it. That way, I think organization will be able to meet the required awareness.
Okay. The other element that, again, I think we had mentioned earlier is bringing men on board as allies in this whole menstrual equity movement and promoting their active involvement in the workspace. What does that look like?
Bringing men on board in the workspace. What does that look like? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like? Bringing men on board in the workspace. What does that look like? Bringing men on board in the workspace. What does that look like? What does that look like? Bringing men on board in the workspace. What does that look like? that looks like men having a conversation with a man freely and telling, you know what, bro, it's my piece. Can you help me do this?
Right.
Regina, today I'm not feeling fine. You're talking to maybe your co-worker. Can you sit in for me? Can you help me purchase pads? Small things.
Oh yes, yeah, that's
Small things. We do not really require big things from them. Small things.
Yeah.
Helping a lady purchase her pads. Some men cannot even stand at a shop or enter into a supermarket and order
let
for
alone
pads.
walk in that aisle.
Like, they feel ashamed.
Yeah.
So the small things like, can you sit in for me? I am feeling a bit crampy. Can you help me go to the supermarket and purchase this kind of pads?
Yeah.
And men, first step, at least know some pads for ladies. At least know there is always. So that when a lady tells you, I need pads urgently, you can get them something. So those are the small things I think we can do to involve men at our workplaces. It doesn't need to be something.
What's your word of encouragement to women? Because I know through mostly culture, they've been mad about it. So they will struggle with their pains and their difficulties through those 5 days, yet in the name of keeping quiet about it and silent about it, and yet we're here to break the silence. So how do you encourage women to step away from what has been encrypted in them for such a long time through culture, to embrace their menstruation, that it's something that they should be carrying with pride, and then allowing in other people to help them? Because for me to walk up to a man and tell him, here, look here, Dad, today is the day, so can you please help me? It takes some form of esteem and confidence itself.
It does. One, women should first understand periods are normal, very natural. You should be happy, excited about your periods. It is not the day to sit back and sleep in the house. With periods, one thing with my periods, the way I get rid of any form of pain, I'm active all day. So first thing, to break the silence, to get rid of the cultural barriers, religion barriers, understand it is something entirely normal and natural. Number two, do not ever feel bad about your periods. As women, let me speak now to mothers. Mothers play a very important role in teaching girls about their periods, because she's the first person you run to. I've shared my mother, I had my periods for 1 year. She did not know. The time I went to her, she looked scared, disgusted. I was confused. And she did not even take me through that. This is how you should put on your pad. She gave me the pad, closed me in the bedroom.
Wow.
Like it was that bad. She also didn't understand it that much. So I think the first thing is that as mothers, let's embrace periods for our children, more so the girls. Let's be eager.
As parents, actually,
yes,
because some are single fathers,
yes,
you know.
Be inquisitive. Have a conversation with your daughter. Esther, have you had your periods yet? How do you feel about your body? Very important for women, mothers, even fathers. You can train on job to do this.
Yeah.
So those are the very first thing that we need to do. Be open about it, be excited about it. Forget about the cultural things of women are dirty during their periods.
Yeah.
You do not have to do this during your periods. Just be excited about it.
All right.
In such a manner, we shall break the silence, we shall embrace period with confidence, and we shall all be happier people.
Esther, truth be told, between you and me, the only time or the best time we ever got to know that our bodies would go through such things was through education.
Certainly.
Through school, through science, is when we were learning about the reproductive system, and then we were told that things were going to be happening to our bodies. And then the reality comes and it shocks us. That is by far the closest we came to education regarding menstruation, meaning that by and large there's lack of education tailor-made and specific to menstruation. Why is that, and how can we remedy that for our future, girls?
Why is that? It's still the stigma that's associated with periods. That is the first reason why we have less education. Number two, most people do not find it important to have a conversation about periods. So many people are still shunning away from the fact that menstrual periods are very okay for girls. And how best can we remedy that? Right from, we had a suggestion at our workplace that right from P5, start engaging the girls and boys that, you know what, at 12, this is likely to happen to your body. And when this happens, this is what you should do. I'm not sure if schools of nowadays do have senior women, as maybe we had at Nakasero Primary School, but those are the conversations we had with our senior woman. She would sit us down, because I learned how to wear a pad from school, not from home. She would sit us down, group us in 10, and tell us about menstruation. So we need to break the barrier for all other girls that are not having such a privilege. Let's talk about the schools in villages, where we are certain this is not likely to happen. It's an encouragement to all schools where you do not engage your children, girls, as early as maybe P5, as early as 10, into menstrual hygiene. Please take on that step. Have these conversations as early as possible, so that we can grow up with confidence that, you know what, it is okay for my
Well, Esther Nachten, the legal officer with Women's Pro Bono Initiative, has really been, you're doing a good advocacy work, and I commend you for the work that you're doing. And so let's collectively also come up with material and education that sensitizes women, especially from as early as before they start, so that their minds are prepared. When it comes, it's not such a shock for them. But on national level also, in advocacy for policies that do allow for flexible working arrangements or menstrual leaves, enabling employees and people by and large managing their periods without compromising productivity and well-being.